I'm Nima Rajan, and welcome to Northwest Newsweek. Canadians have made their decision. Justin Trudeau's Liberals will once again hold power, but this time it will be in a minority government. The Liberals captured 157 seats in the House of Commons, 27 fewer than 4 years ago. But the wildest election race in the region came from the Kenora riding on Monday, where the lead changed at least half a dozen times. But when it came into the final polls after midnight, it was a rookie Conservative candidate who came out on top. Eric Melillo is believed to be the youngest MP heading to Ottawa after this election. Adam Riley reports.
At just 21 years of age, Eric Melillo just voted in his first federal election. He also just won his first federal election, beating out incumbent Bob Nault by just over 1,100 votes. However, his new role as MP finds him sitting in the opposition benches. But he says he's ready to tackle those challenges.
My focus is just to get to work here and deliver results for the people of our riding, and I'm looking forward to working with everyone I have to get that done.
Melillo spent much of the last 6 months knocking on doors and getting both his name and the Conservative message out to voters. He says based on what he heard at the doors and what transpired at the polls, he now has his marching orders from the electorate.
Whether it's affordability, whether it's the environment, whether it's healthcare, Canadians across the country today voted for change, and I'm just excited to be able to be representing our region in Ottawa and making some results happen here.
Initially, things weren't looking too good for Melillo. He started the evening back in third place while a neck-and-neck race between Liberal incumbent Bob Nault and the NDP's Rudy Turtle played out with supporters anxiously reading poll results on their phones before watching with disappointment as both Liberal and NDP numbers stagnated, allowing Melillo to shoot up through the ranks. Eventually, Nault conceded. His time as MP was now over.
It's a humbling experience to be in a campaign, and mine being the sixth, it's even more humbling than you might imagine. But, it's an honor and a privilege to represent the people of the North. As a Northerner, I've always appreciated the opportunity to do what I could to make a difference in their lives.
As for Turtle, he now returns to his full-time role as Chief of Grassy Narrows First Nation, with a mandate to hold the Trudeau government, now a minority, to their word.
As during the leadership debate, the English leadership debate, and the Prime Minister did say that money is no objection to building a treatment center in Grassy. So I am going to hold him up to that, to what he said, and continue to pursue the things that we need for Grassy Narrows First Nation.
Both Nault and Turtle haven't ruled out running again, and this being a minority government, the first since 2011, Canadians could head back to the polls sooner than expected. Adam Riley, TBT News.
Meanwhile, in Thunder Bay Superior North, it was a convincing win for incumbent Liberal Patty Hajdu. She easily defeated 5 challengers and is expected to be back in the Trudeau cabinet next month. Ryan Benazzo has the details.
4 more years! 4 more years!
The celebration started early at the election party for Liberal incumbent Patty Hajdu. She raced out to a quick lead and never looked back, capturing nearly 18,000 votes. That's over 7,000 more than her nearest challenger, Conservative Frank Poulia, and double the vote total of the NDP's Annabette Ashney-Penescom. Hajdu says she's excited to continue the work she's been doing since 2015.
In terms of affordable housing, in terms of making sure that people have a secure retirement, in terms of making sure that children have enough to eat and that they have an opportunity to access affordable education at the post-secondary level. And so I'm hoping that I get an opportunity to continue on to work on those things at the federal level. I certainly will be advocating for Thunder Bay Superior North in terms of FedNor and economic development.
It'll be Hajdu's first experience in a minority government. And while she admits she doesn't know exactly what that will look like, she expressed confidence that the Liberals can work well with other parties when asked about a likely coalition with the NDP.
I feel like there's enough commonality with members of Parliament for all kinds of different stripes that we can make this work.
Meanwhile, after consolatory hugs for runner-up Frank Poulia, the Conservative candidate also preached cooperation in the House of Commons, saying that's in the best interest of all Canadians.
We need to work together in a minority government, in a coalition government. Everybody has to move in the same direction to make sure that Canadians benefit. At the end of the day, we are here to serve the public.
A third-place finish isn't what the NDP's Annabette Ashney-Penescom had envisioned, but the rookie federal candidate says she's satisfied that the country is moving forward with a minority Liberal government and very proud of her personal campaign.
I'd like to think that I made a difference and that I made an impact with our, not only with our Indigenous population, but with all our citizens here in Northwestern Ontario.
And it was a second straight fourth-place finish for Bruce Heyer. He was elected twice in the riding as an NDP, but hasn't been able to seriously contend as a member of the Green Party. But he notes the Green message has caught on.
I'm very pleased that Elizabeth and I and many Greens have had an influence. We've made people think about a variety of issues.
If 2015 is any indication, Haidu should find out within a couple of weeks whether she'll be back in Justin Trudeau's cabinet. Ryan Benazzo, TBT News.
The Liberals also managed to keep control of Thunder Bay Rainy River, where it was a tight three-way race early in the night. But in the end, Marcus Pulowski pulled away with the win. The emergency room doctor says he is ready to take on Ottawa. Alana Pickrell reports.
This isn't just my victory, this is your victory.
It was a night to remember for Marcus Pulowski as the first-time candidate held on to the Thunder Bay Rainy River riding for the Liberals for another term. When all the ballots were counted, Pulowski finished with just over 14,000 votes. Conservative Linda Ridholm and the NDP's Yuk Sum Wan had each battled for the lead early in the night, but they both ended up more than 2,000 votes back, coming in second and third place. Pulowski said he is here for everyone in the riding during his victory speech.
This is the heart of the Liberalist philosophy. And you look around our room and who's in this room, and everybody deserves an equal opportunity in life.
Ridholm, a longtime former city councillor, managed to finish second in the riding that has traditionally gone Liberal or NDP. She says she was very pleased with the efforts given throughout the campaign and says she was just unable to overcome the history of Liberal voting in the riding.
I was hoping that we would get a female member of parliament this time. Very hopeful that after 84 years we'd get a Conservative member elected. But you know, the trend has been there a long time, so it's hard to buck that trend, even at a time when we have an unethical prime minister.
Wan, a first-time NDP candidate, admits the results were what she was expecting, even though she was hoping to represent the North in Ottawa. She was also quick to confirm that this won't be her last time on the campaign trail.
I expected to run a campaign that was so strong and that brought back the voice of the NDP to Northwestern Ontario, and I think the numbers show that we did that with full force. You know what? We're just squeaking by just a little bit, and that's what we're going to work on for the next 4 years, so don't count us out yet.
With the results in and the excitement now winding down, Pulowski is getting ready for his next adventure.
It's been great, it's been wonderful, it's been totally enjoyable. So, and I'm happy that I'm not through yet, that the journey goes on. This is all new grounds for me, so I'm going to be learning, but you know, I think if one thing's to be said for myself, I think I'm pretty quick learner, so.
Alana Pickrell, TBT News.
Voter turnout was down nationwide this election, and it was a similar situation in the three ridings here in the Northwest. In Thunder Bay Rainy River, a little over 61% of eligible voters came out to the polls. That's down from 67% in 2015. The riding's returning office says the rain and heavy winds experienced on Monday may have been a factor. Over in Thunder Bay Superior North, the turnout was a bit better at 64%. But that's also down from the last federal election, when nearly 70% of those voters made it to the polls. And in the Kenora riding, the turnout was at around 60%, a huge drop from the 72% who came out in 2015. The remote First Nation community of North Spirit Lake has declared a state of emergency. The band says the decision was prompted by a growing drug addiction epidemic and problems with their water system. Chief Carolyn Kiesick says the situation has left her community in crisis. Kiesick is appealing to both the federal and provincial governments for assistance. North Spirit Lake is located about 170 kilometers northeast of Red Lake. Well, the clock is ticking on the future of the former Resolute Mill in Fort Frances. A deal which preserves the site in hopes of attracting a company to restart the facility is set to expire at the end of December. Earlier this month, a 90-day deal was struck with the mill's new owner, Rivers Edge Developments, which would allow a potential qualified buyer access to the site to inspect the equipment. However, despite reaching out to several companies, Mayor June Call says nobody has responded. Call believes the potential to restart the mill is still there, even with the restrictive covenants that Resolute wrote into the sale agreement with Rivers Edge. She says the province is also looking at ways to ensure a wood supply for the mill should it restart. Mill owner Justice Veldman says the pulp and paper machines have deteriorated since the mill was closed in 2014 and would require hundreds of millions of dollars to repair. A statement called disputes. In the end, however, the mayor concedes that if no buyer comes forward, it would give Rivers Edge the opportunity to go ahead with its own plans for the site. Greenstone's mayor is calling on the province to re-evaluate the Municipal Accountability Act, specifically the sections of the act which pertain to conflict of interest regulations. Renard Berlioz believes in smaller communities that the regulations stifle productivity, forcing mayors and councillors to declare conflicts of interest for the most mundane of issues. At a recent council meeting, Berlioz and 2 other members of council were forced to declare conflicts regarding developments with the proposed Greenstone gold mine, with one conflict being the councillor lived a kilometer from the property in question. He says being even a non-voting member of an organization is a cause for a conflict.
The toughest part is in major centers. You have a lot of people to fall back on that are probably not as involved in their communities as we are. In small communities, everybody's involved a little bit in everything, or they have a brother or a sister or somebody that is part of an organization.
Berlioz adds that there is also time and monetary costs, which put even more pressure on smaller municipalities. He is hoping more examples from other communities will be brought forward to the province to get the government to amend the legislation. And when we come back, mayors from across the Thunder Bay District gather to discuss issues facing their communities during the annual Thunder Bay District Municipal League Conference. The growing issue of guns and gangs and drugs headlined an annual gathering of North Shore political leaders. The Thunder Bay District Municipal League's 102nd meeting saw presenters focusing on crime as well as the environment. Corey Nordstrom has more.
But they'll have the LU University sweater on,
And that's their sign. Like, so you think they're a student? Well, they're not a student.
Rather than divisive colors, Detective Sergeant Dan Irwin says gangs now are trying more and more to blend in among the public. The members of the City Police Intelligence Unit spoke at the District Municipal League's annual meeting, informing the mayors and councillors about the current trends in areas of guns, gangs, and drugs. According to police statistics, the number of firearms seized in drug-related incidents has risen each year since 2016, from 0 to 6 to 18, and close to 30 this year as of late October. And the drug game is also steadily on the rise, not only here, but across the Northwest. Rick Dumas, the president of the Municipal League, says having officers speak to them is important to understanding the issues that plague the area.
We're seeing huge impacts, not only the city of Thunder Bay is seeing, we're all seeing in our smaller communities. So great opportunity to get aware of what's happening and how we can solve some of these problems.
Dumas states that because of an influx of drugs being sold in his home community of Marathon, there has been a trickle-down effect of varying crimes.
Now we have individuals that are hooked on these illicit drugs that are having impacts with the need to get more of this drug where they don't have the dollars, so they're doing crimes, petty crimes, break and enters. We're seeing more increase in that. We're seeing more increase in domestics within the homes because of the drug and the taking of the drugs.
A focus on the environment kicked off the general meeting. Guest speakers lobbied the municipal leaders on the importance of lessening the amounts of plastic in area landfills, something Wendy Landry, the mayor of Shunya, can attest to.
For us at the municipality of Shunya, we've been dealing with the bags on our dump, and I know everybody drives through our municipality, and come the springtime when there's no foliage in the trees, and you see those, it's very visible, the bags hanging, and I get calls, the phone rings off the hook constantly on what we're going to do about our dump.
Corey Nordstrom, TBT News.
A special ceremony was held in Kenora on Tuesday, honoring officers with the Ontario Provincial Police and members of the public who have gone above and beyond the call of duty in defense of their communities and colleagues and fellow citizens. The awards and commendations were given out by Ontario's top cop, OPP Commissioner Thomas Carrick, making the ceremony extra special. Adam Riley has more.
And these are men and women that go above and beyond. They do the things that other people in our communities are unwilling or unable to do.
Ontario Provincial Police Commissioner Thomas Carrick says thanking those that risk their lives to protect others deserve just that. Carrick was in Kenora Tuesday honoring members of his organization and members of the public for personal achievements and acts of heroism accomplished in the line of duty from across the Northwest. He says it takes courage for officers to put on their uniform and go out each day.
But there's those other courageous acts that they do day in and day out in our community that are seldom spoken about and seldom heard. So this is an opportunity to celebrate the courage of our members and the courage of ordinary everyday citizens who have rose to the challenge to step up, come forward and help another citizen in their greatest time of need.
Among those honored were 10 officers who, during an armed standoff with a man barricaded inside of a truck near Dorian last November, noticed smoke emanating from the vehicle. The officers ran to the vehicle and pulled the man who was on fire out of the vehicle, saving his life. It was also a very special presentation for 5-year-old Benjamin Krenick, who received commendation from both the OPP and St. John's Ambulance. In January, Krenick discovered his grandmother collapsed on the ground. He then went to the office and called his mother, who was next door. She then alerted first responders. For Carrick, giving Krenick the award was extra special for him.
You know, this is the second time this season in our award ceremony that we've had a young man that's come to the aid of a family member when they needed the most, and it gives us great hope for what this future, our future holds when you see young people like that who know what to do and are able to do what needs to be done.
Adam Riley, TBT News.
Mayor and council in Kenora are looking to try to move the LCBO to a new location within the city after discussing the issue at the annual AMO conference in Ottawa earlier this year. The decision to push for the move comes amid construction to the downtown area, which would increase traffic flows near the building. As well, Mayor Dan Reynard says there are some social concerns which affect residents in a nearby seniors housing complex that he would like to see addressed by moving the LCBO.
Those individuals access the shopping center for groceries, for products, and there's concern about, there's a lot of loitering, there's a lot of public drunkenness. Now we recognize that moving the facility will not eliminate that. That's not our goal, is to eliminate it. What it is to move it away from things like the shelter, We want to try and if we'd like to have a new facility.
Reynard says the current building doesn't meet the needs of the community and would like to see a newer, more modern facility located along the highway corridor through the city. Well, it's back to the drawing board for the Rainy River District School Board regarding a new school in the town of Rainy River. Initially, a renovation was planned to combine both Riverview Public School and Rainy River High School into a K-12 school with an attached daycare and child and family center. But costs to do so exceeded available funding. Board officials say a new build is now in the works with a new funding application being put forward to the province. Rainy River Acting Mayor Pat White says having a school is imperative for the future of the community.
If you have a small town and you have a hospital and a clinic and a school, that's certainly quite a big draw for people who want to come here. I think, if you live in a town like this, it's an awesome place to raise kids. But if we lose our schools, we're going to lose the families.
Unfortunately, we received our tenders. We had 3 contractors bid, 6 were pre-qualified, and the tender was over budget. So since then, we have canceled the tender, and we are now looking to apply for a new build for a consolidated K-12 school in Rainy River.
Rainy River isn't the only project on the go for the board. Campbell says the modifications to turn Atikokan High School into a K-12 school are still on the schedule. Coming up after the break, Marathon opens up, Coming up after the break, a rare interaction with the elusive lynx. Stay tuned. A group of moose hunters near Mantawaj walked away from their yearly trip to the area with a rare find earlier this month. They managed to capture on video 2 lynx locked in a territory dispute. It's the second interaction of the elusive animals caught on film in just as many years. Adam Riley has the details.
A group of hunters came across a rare sight while hunting north of Manitowaj earlier this month. 2 lynx squaring off in a showdown of dominance. Ernie Strong has been hunting in the area for the last 20 years and has never seen anything like it before. He says he and a friend were driving along a road and pulled up on the animals, who paid very little attention to the hunters.
I rolled down the window to see what was going on, and I heard the hissing. I looked over, and the 2 lynx were right
They weren't 20 feet from my car, my truck. And this is what the guy was filming in front of me, too, so I started taking pictures and filming it.
Strong says he was amazed by what he saw and equated the confrontation to a pair of house cats, but much more docile.
You didn't know if it was a courting thing or it was going to be a battle or, you know, what exactly was happening, but it was amazing.
The interaction is reminiscent of another lynx showdown caught on video east of Dryden in 2018, which went viral with over 12 million views. Brian McLaren is an associate professor in the Faculty of Natural Resources at Lakehead University. He says while this may be the second documented showdown in the region over the last year, it's still likely to be considered a rare event. Lynx prey upon small game, and when those populations are high, lynx numbers increase.
That creates a situation where males have to disperse, and I guess it's two things that make it kind of rare. One is we don't travel through lynx territory and the ranges are large, as I just suggested, but it's also going to happen with a periodicity, like every 10 years or so.
McLaren says there are 3 known vocalizations: mating, calling of offspring, and confrontation, which he says the latter of which is definitely on display in the video. He says he gets excited interactions like this can be captured, especially in the remote areas of the north, and provide academics and wildlife management organizations with more data to help study these elusive animals.
The U.S. is doing this in big numbers. I visited a Wildlife Society meeting where the Smithsonian has been doing this for about 5 years, and it's very, very organized. Every location is actually sent in. It's verified by an expert. I would love it if, anybody who has that kind of video would send it.
Adam Riley, TBT News.
And that'll do it for this edition of Northwest Newsweek. I'm Nima Rajan, and we will see you next week.